Hey, thanks for being here and joining us. So, the main idea here is to talk about the pill problem. And this is something that I've been working through and trying to learn about. And I've got my good friend and mentor, Tobin Zivon here, who's going to, chat about this and be like um, I guess the answer man. Hopefully, we'll see. Do you want to maybe give us some info about yourself before we really dive into this?
Yeah, man. So I'm just stoked to be here with you, Phil. I love this. I know this has been born out of a lot of great conversation, deep, freaking hair pulling out work that we've been doing. It's just been incredibly important, but not always easy. And so, yeah, in terms of me and, the just kind of the context of me is that I've been um, doing this consciousness evolutionary path, however ridiculous or awesome it might be. That's to be determined in our conversation. Hopefully, we'll unpack a bit of that. But I've been at it for a long time, over 30 years now, and both in my own life and helping others. And so I'm kind of almost like representing for the red pill people. Although let's define red pill right out of the gate here, because I know in modern men's work and this kind of very, very current evolution, relatively speaking, the red pill has been talked about in different ways. And we're not
Yeah.
talking about it here. We're talking about it in the OG, the OG context, which is the movie The Matrix, where if you take the red pill, you're going to be opening up and seeing and living in a different reality than before where you were, in the red pill world. Or if you actively even chose to take the red pill, you'd stay there. You'd stay on that level of reality. We're talking about red pill, blue pill in that context where if you metaphorically take the red pill, you kind of wake up to a different path of life, a different version of existence that is otherwise invisible to us if we're in the blue pill world.
Mm.
So that's really important to say, given that there's new uses of that red pill that we're not going there. We're not talking about that today.
Okay. Well, I mean, I guess maybe can you lay out what we're not talking about?
So that new context of the red pill is kind of like in this men's world. It has a lot to do, almost like kind of like men are superior to women. There's a mentality out there. I haven't dove too deep into it. I just realized this the other day when I was talking to somebody about it, and they're like, oh, do you mean like those guys, those men's teachers who are all about kind of like hypergamy and you gotta be the man to keep the
Mm.
woman. This is not that. This is not that. This is kind of just like, are we on an evolutionary path? Is that a good idea, or is it ridiculous? And probably a little bit of both. And we just want to unpack that in an illuminating and fun way, um, for us and for all the people out there. What you have been experiencing, Phil, and what we've talked about is very common. I think it's like an epidemic on the planet where someone in a relationship is metaphorically eating red pills. We've talked about that as listening to podcasts, going on medicine journeys, going to therapy at the very least, inviting their partner, almost demanding, depending on how skillfully they're doing their red pill journey, into couples therapy and beyond. Like there's billions and billions and billions of things now available to the red pill people. And that slippery slope is something I'm so interested in and that I know you've been experiencing firsthand. So
Yeah.
that is why I wanted to open, or why I felt excited to open this up with you.
Well, I'm curious in your opinion, like what makes what makes a red pill person, or what makes a person red pill curious?
I mean, I honestly think it's something in that person's soul level. imprint. Like, and again, that's a red pill answer right there because
Maybe.
it's saturated in red pill land. But I really just think it's like inherent. It's like a seedling waiting to happen at some point in a person's life where they're just like, boom, now I feel curious about fill in the blank. Now I feel like I need to know more. I need to evolve. I need to go deeper than just the surface level that I was born into and that my parents were living in and the culture around me sort of fed me over and over like this is reality. Something just comes online where I want to know more. I want to experience more. I want to be more than just what was sort of handed down to me through my lineage and my culture.
Mm.
And it's a mystery. It really is a mystery. What I've noticed is once it kind of like it literally is like a seed in the person's system somewhere. And then all of a sudden it's like enough water, enough time, enough soil, whatever it is, and that thing just starts to germinate. And once that has occurred, you can't push it back down. If you try to, you suffer more than if you say, okay, ready, set, go. I'm now on a path that I need to engage in very skillfully, very sincerely over time, such that some fruition can occur and not just all the quagmires of red pill living, which
Mm.
are many.
So, have you, in your experience, have you seen this to be more of? I mean, is this like a gender issue? Is this like a woman's thing? Like, hey, this needs to happen, or I've planted the seed and now I can't go back. Like, where does this? Who does this affect?
Definitely transgender. It's a cross human, if I was betting, and I obviously haven't done like the scientific studies on this or anything, but if through my perspective, through all the people I'm on the front lines with planetarily, I would say the women are leading the charge in general. Now, you can zoom in different places, different people, different relationships, and it can be completely reversed. I am on the front lines in relationships where the man is leading the charge and the woman is just like, what are we doing? This is weird, too much. Come on, snap out of it. Um, but it does tend to look to me like globally there is a feminine willingness, a feminine readiness, and a feminine hunger that is very, very, very common. So I think that's probably what you've been perceiving and bumping into because it is very prevalent. And in certain subcultures within our culture, and even subcultures within the spiritual world, the spiritual culture out here, there are these incredibly wise, to whatever degree, powerful, charismatic women, and they are spreading the word. They are like the preachers of the movement,
Mm.
and they're good at it, and it's very, very compelling and very inspiring to a lot of the other women out in the world who are like, whoa, yes, that's what I've been waiting for. That's what I've been hungry for. Thank God someone's saying it. Oh my gosh. And they're even offering, a path or some prescriptions or, fill in the blank, all the things that are being offered, which is a lot. And that's part of the can of worms,
Yeah.
the can of worms of the red pill is probably, the not so awesome side of all of this.
So hmm where does like the standoff happen? Like the all right, so one person in a partnership is going presented red pill lifestyle starts to go that way, and then like what is typically the result? What do you see there?
Okay, so one of a few options will occur if one of the people in a relationship. So yeah, I love that we're going to start zooming in on relationship dynamics because this is where the rubber hits the road. This is where there is that confrontation. It can be like whiplash, especially for the person who's being, all of a sudden their partner has got on fire, almost like caught on fire
Yeah.
for all this evolutionary stuff, go deeper, do more, be different, be better. Like it is like all of a sudden it's this like cry from the mountaintops,
Yes.
and so few different things can then occur in a relationship when one person comes with that inspired part. Let's just start there.
Okay.
In its initial phases, it's just inspiration. It's just a sense of, wow, this is what's possible and I want it and let's do it. That's the innocent initial sincerely inspired soul. That's how it looks and feels. Now, what can then happen is that can be brought to the other partner in a really loving, inviting, healthy way. Can even inspire that person. Wow, hey, I found this thing. You know, I'd love for us to check it out together. And that person says, okay, it feels a little weird, but okay, let's check it out. So that's option one. That's kind of best case scenario when one person takes a red pill and comes to their currently blue pill partner. The second one is, you know, lot more resistance, but this red pill person, for some reason, some way, shape, or form, they're at a very masterful level and they come with their red pill invitation. They're met with resistance and they say, okay, I get it. And I would love it if, or hey, let's try. And if we don't, if we can't, then I can't really be here anymore. But it's all done with love and skill. That's option two. Unfortunately, from what I've seen, that's very rare on the planet. So then we slide over into the other possibility, which is a very common phenomenon. Hey, I found the end all be all of our existence. It's called, fill in the blank. Kimberly Johnson's work, Tobin's work, Tony Robbins, medicine work, whatever it is. There's a plethora of, like we said, the can of worms has been opened. There's lots of this out there. So the person comes with that inspired heart. The blue pill person is like, whoa, that is weird. That is out there. That feels off. That feels wrong. That just feels. Usually, it boils down to just weird. Like that's usually the blue pill person's reaction or response is, what are you talking about? So then this third possibility, we get a red pill person who's not quite as skillful, masterful, loving, evolved as they proclaim to be or are aspiring to be. And they start coming at that blue pill person in a kind of not so healthy way, not so skillful way. It starts to come with coercion, with rights and wrongs and righteousness and punishment and pressure. And then it usually turns into a very not fun kind of standoff. And it can be like a vicious circle and kind of like we're against one another instead of back on the same team. And I think that's a really key thing to maybe we explore it more to unpack what can be done, how can that be done more skillfully from both sides. What is the blue pill person holding? What wisdom are they holding? These are all the questions that start to come into play in any of these scenarios, but especially in that third one.
Yeah, that's interesting because, well, I guess from my own experience, leaning in the blue pill direction, it seems like, well, you kind of spoke about speaking about things masterfully or carefully, maybe was the word. But it seems like uh, there sometimes the red pill person leans into a little bit of like, well, this is better and the more righteous way. Like so. Well, I guess I'm not sure what the question is there, but what do we do
Yeah,
with that?
that's the one of the $1 billion questions. What do we do with that? And that is the slippery slope of inspiration. You know, an inspired heart can so quickly slide into a righteous brain.
Mm.
No, and a righteous personality. So that's in Buddhism, they talk about this thing called the near enemy. I love this concept. It's like, like the slippery slope from compassion into like overly caretaking. That's a near enemy of compassion.
Okay.
So the near enemy in this case of inspiration is righteousness. Right, wrong. I know, like a sense of I'm right, they're wrong. I know they don't. That's that slippery, slippery slope. And when you've eaten a red pill and you've been given what feels like the keys to the kingdom of life, you literally feel like you've just been given the gift. Pretty much every person I know, when they get that red pill initially, could be mushroom journey, it could be their therapy, it could be some teacher that they've been exposed to, it could be, you name it. All red pills are coming in all the different forms these days. But when you are the recipient of that and it has touched you and opened you up, and all of a sudden you feel like you are seeing A, what matters most, and B, a path to live in that way, you really can't help oftentimes but feel like, whoa, I've been given the gift of gifts. I want to share that. So that's that inspiration. But in the hands of a human personality, it can often slide into, I have the right thing and you need to take it. And especially if I'm in a partnership, I'm all bonded, my life is with you, my life depends on you and how you act. And I'm now, you know, pedal to the metal. Say it's a boat, you've taken that thing and you're just shoving it down because you are stoked. But your life is tied to this person who's just chilling on the floaty in the lake, and so you really feel like if this person doesn't do it, I can't do what's true to me. So all of a sudden that red pill person is having this conscious or unconscious double bind of, I need to do this because it's so true to my heart, but yet I also need this person to stay connected to, and because my life is dependent on that connection. So the unconscious conclusion of that is, make them do it too, make them get on board with my journey,
Of course.
because I'm pedal to the metal, and I can't go it alone because my life is intertwined with this person to whatever degree. Even if you're just in love, that happens, let alone once you're married, once you have a house, once you have kids, once you everything is like coalesced into partnership. So that's what will often go down to the deep unconscious and feed that pressure system, from inspiration to, I have the golden key of the universe, really deep belief that I have the thing that everybody needs, to, oh my God, if my partner doesn't get on board with this, I'm doomed.
Mm.
So then that, all that together, that is rocket fuel for, you better fricking start eating some red pills, man. Not to mention, the other ingredient in this can be, if my partner were to take those pills, metaphorically, if they were to do the work, then they would start to be a way that would feel a lot better to me, because that's usually like a little diamond of truth in that mentality is, God, I really wish my partner would take at least a little nibble on that red pill so that they would embody more care, more compassion. Oh God, here's is on my middle finger. So this is a mirror of somebody feeling this out there,
Yeah.
because the big one that comes with red pill people is, if they could be more present, then I could be more happy. And then that, watch out for that word. We gotta redefine the word presence in
Yeah,
a
yeah.
way that
Let's
is
do
more
that. What is
more
the current definition of presence in that sense that you're saying is like dangerous? What is that?
oh well, it's not inherently dangerous. It's just dangerous in that it's this catchword. It's a catch. It's literally like at this point, it's a catchword that no one actually knows what they're talking about. I mean, I guess the person who's trying to invite, say, if I was in a relationship and I wanted my partner to be more present, I usually know what I mean by that,
Mm.
but I have a very hard time defining it well. So, but the blue pill person is like really in the dark about what the hell that fucking word means. And in fact, to them, what are you talking about? I am being present. I would imagine most people on this side of this dance, they get this, can't just be more present or be more fill in the blank, anything. But especially when that word comes into play, that person's just feeling like, what are you talking about? I am right here. I'm as present as they come. Look at me in the room. Look at me showing up as a dad. Look at me making enough money to keep this freaking house over, this roof over our head.
Yeah.
Look at me showing up with the kids every day. Look at me taking you out to dinner. Look at me, showing up for Mother's Day and doing all of the things that you said you wanted. Like, how much more freaking present can I be? That's the answer. So is if we keep it on the level of these words, where it's just fuel for the war that can often occur between, you know, Mrs. Red Pill and Mr. Blue Pill, or vice versa. Again, this is not gender based. It's very much not. But again, like we said, this is common. So that's the current definition or the current thing that occurs. The definition usually of the person who's asking for more presence is that they want a certain type of embodiment. They want a certain type of um, conscious, engaged here-ness. Like I am right here through my essential beingness is here, and you can feel me. You can feel that weightiness, that contactfulness, that vital aliveness is pouring through my eyes, through my beingness, through the way I'm taking up space, through my fingertips. You feel that type of presence. That's usually what they're asking for.
Yeah, but that seems well, that seems tricky to just to just start doing. All of a sudden, you're just, well, this is going to come out of my fingertips and through my eye contact differently.
Yeah,
So where does
it's
that come
literally
from?
like
Like what?
it's a great point, Phil. It's literally like telling, Luke Skywalker in the first ever Star Wars movie that was
Yeah,
made, use the Force, Luke. Just use the fucking Force. It's like so obvious, And Luke's like getting shot left and right by that fucking little thing.
yeah.
Um, so that's probably the best metaphor I have for this type of presence that's being invited out of us.
Mm.
Now, in any given moment, you can learn little tricks to embody that, to bring that forward in any given moment. But the real invitation of be more present is is about a lifestyle. It's about a way of being day in, day out that deepens you in that quality, in that capacity. And again, that's never talked about. Or rarely talked about in these more nuanced and skillful ways. So again, that war between the red and blue pill human in a relationship can get so fueled, so intensified. God, I'm just having like a flood of memories right now of all the couples that I've been on the front lines with in this. And it literally, it can go on for years, if not decades, and just create more and more and more division, more againstness, more right, wrong, I'm right, you're wrong, I'm good, you're bad. Like both people are ending up feeling that more and more and more strongly as the days go on if you haven't found the bridge, you know?
Yeah, I guess in my experience and maybe in other um, couples that I've witnessed or something, there's the the red pill change happens hard and fast. It seems like, and there's like a very quick sort of
Often the
cascade
case. Yeah,
down the rabbit hole. Uh,
true.
so I mean, and so much so that from the blue pill perspective, it feels like, well, are we joining a cult now? Like, how far are we going with this? Like, what is happening? Um, so I'm wondering, I guess, maybe what your thoughts are about like when this happens, like what seems like, I guess, to the blue pill person, surprisingly mid relationship, like, oh, well, now this is like the biggest deal ever now.
Yeah.
How to handle that, and what maybe what you've seen in that sort of regard.
Yeah. So the two things to say here. I mean, there's a lot to say. This could be this. We
Yeah,
could really
episode
take a
two.
lot of trying to unpack. Yeah, exactly. We could do a series. I think this could be very, very helpful for a lot of people because it is a more and more common, I think, on the planet because more and more of these teachings are being made available. The teachers who are teaching them are more and more charismatic and convincing and believe what they're talking about. It is cult. It's cultish everywhere. It's we're right on the line of cult, and sometimes we're in the actual terrain of a cult. Like by definition, a lot of red pill people are building cults, and it's a scary thing and an edgy thing. So what I would say to anyone listening, like if you're blessed enough to be hearing this, whether you're the red pill or the blue pill person, this is going to hopefully give you some insight into how to do it differently than the people who've been stuck in this painful, painful dance for so long. So, what I would suggest to the red pill person is do your absolute best to remember that who you were, whatever amount of time ago, whether that was 2 weeks or 2 decades, you used to have a similar mindset. And if somebody came to you, even right now, as a red pill person, with their red pill and tried to impose it on you as the end all be all of existence, you would have resistance to that. If they were coming at it trying to shove it down your throat with righteousness, you would have the very same response that your blue pill partner is having. So a lot of wisdom, a lot of insight, a lot of willingness to bring some humility along with your inspiration is the key for the red pill person.
Mm.
I think for the blue pill person, the key is to do your absolute best to stay grounded in your truth. Like, hey, this feels weird to me. This feels culty. This feels off. But if at all possible, be willing to look for some magic ingredient in the mix of all that crap. You think, like the baby in the bathwater. Even if there's an ocean of bathwater, is there uh, a little octopus of truth in there?
Mm.
You know, can I look for that little thing and start chewing on it and be willing to say, oh, that makes sense. Let me listen to that part because that's that at the very least then you have a way out of the analogy I often use is the Chinese finger handcuffs. Those old things. So you put your finger in there, which is a partnership. Now a red pill person starts to get inspired. They want to start pulling really hard to get it out. Like, let's go over there. We got to get out of here over there. But because you're so deeply bonded and the other person is can't help but go, wait a minute, then you're stuck. And the more you are stuck in relationships, the longer that goes on, it's like it builds razor blades on the inside and it starts to really, really hurt you. And not just your fingers, but
Mm.
your heart and soul. The depth of who you are starts to feel so much pain. So if the red pill person can do what I was just suggesting, humble, skillful, perspective, inviting in masterful ways, the bare minimum of what you would love from the other person. That would be the red pill person's version of that little twist. So you're not just bringing out the razor blades. The blue pill person being willing to look for that little baby in the bathwater, that little nugget. Oh, I could find some inspiration around that. Let's talk about that. Let me learn about that. Let me get on board for that. In the same way you would if your partner came with like a new hobby and they were like, God, I really love boats, say, and you just say you're in the honeymoon, so you haven't gotten all entrenched in like boats. What the fuck about boats? No, you're like boats. You love
Okay.
boats. I'm gonna start loving boats too. Like that version of yourself is what you have to try to find to get that little twist where before too long you could be like this and moving in the same direction as a team because a lot of this comes to getting on the same team. And the perplexing thing for the blue pill person, maybe this is another ingredient to start it moving toward a healthy thing, is to remember once somebody has taken the red pill, it's literally like a raccoon out of a cage. You could never get it back in there.
Hmm.
Never. It's too too little, too late. I'm sorry to tell you, but like that will never. I've never seen that happen unless they went to a doctor who gave them fucked up medication to numb them so much that they like back in the 1950s and before that, that's what they basically did. They would either hospitalize or medicate people so much to try to get them to go back, but that would just end up being worse. But that's an important key thing to remember. Once a person has taken the red pill, you can't go back.
Yeah, I like your analogy about the finger traps. I've heard it talked about a little bit differently other times where, well, maybe there's a hardcore red pill person, and uh, instead of that jerking reaction that you say that like that just doesn't work, that you almost have to go like the approach of like a dimmer switch or something that you can like slowly dial it in a little bit. And I don't know, like do blue pill people, do you see them fully embracing and like bridging the gap, or do they, do they remain dialed into their end of the spectrum a little? I don't know.
A great question, man. It's so mysterious, though. The first main answer is you never know. You can't know. You can't put like all blue pill people did all that. We're so human. So anything is possible. So that being said, then we'll look at trends and patterns and commonalities because it is often the case that a really deep blue pill person, most often you can't get that to change. Not in a fundamental like all of a sudden like they are on fire for this stuff in the same way. When I define a red pill person as we're talking about it, as
Yeah.
silly as this metaphor is, one of the things by definition, in my definition of the type of red pill person we're talking about, they are on fire for this. It becomes a very big priority for them, like a really, really strong priority.
Yeah.
Now, that again is beautiful for that person in a vacuum. Like me when I was younger, well, actually, I wasn't single, but I was only 20 something years old and we hadn't gotten married. So it was just simpler. Although I did bump into this for a couple of years, it just became so obvious that we weren't meant to go the long run because of this very reason.
Mm.
But if we had been already bonded with kids and with a house and jobs and that deep, deep immersion of a life interwoven, um, it would have, really required more of this nuance. And like you said, if you can massage it in that direction And basically, what you just said is a probably better way of saying what I was trying to say before. Because in that case, the red pill person, takes their pedal off the or their foot off the pedal. They're willing to go way slower than they otherwise naturally might, at least in their partnership. They might still do tons of this on their own, but they're willing to let this be a slower, more organic thing. And they're willing to be grateful for little amounts of this instead of attached to massive amounts of this. Because if you're with like a person who really does have that blue pill makeup and you keep trying to push it harder, faster, you're going to get the Chinese finger handcuff
Yeah.
phenomenon. You're going to be in a polarized war. It just sucks. But if that person can come off of that drive, slow it down enough, and be grateful for small amounts of red, like almost homeopathic amounts of red pill,
Okay.
eating, engaging, then that middle zone can be found. And that can be really beautiful and fulfilling. And usually, in my opinion, what I've seen is that's beneficial for both people. That grounds the red pill person and it catalyzes the blue pill person to things that are very important for them, even regardless of this relationship, that would be very important for their life. So, but you start to get a little is enough. Let a little be enough is one of those mantras that I've encouraged these people, the red pill person, be grateful, appreciate, try it out for a little while. Give that 2 months, 6 months, a year, and watch how all of a sudden there's this middle zone where, yeah, you might not be, going to Peru to eat peyote together, but
Maybe.
you might be having, yeah, maybe that's like, okay, fuck it, let's go. Take heroic doses of red pills instead of homeopathic. One or the other, because blue pill people are not going to be at the same, like, oh, let's do this. So you get this little bit going in this instance as a possible scenario. And then all of a sudden, both people start to feel, oh, wow, this is overall really, really beautiful and really good. And there's enough for both of us to feel satisfied. And you can start to see the wisdom in that. Often there is a wisdom in it. In fact, I think it's a great question that I want to pose to you. Like, if you were going to make a case for blue pill living, what would you say is right about being a blue pill person as opposed to a red pill?
What would I say is right? Um,
Yeah, what's right and good about blue pill existing?
I feel like the biggest rightness is uh, less of a self imposed, like, well, I just have to be better than what I am. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a big standoff that I face is like, well, I'm actually not disappointed with the life I live or the person that I am. I think I'm a good person, and I don't think that because I'm not on fire, as you said, for some sort of like spiritual awakening or some sort of like massive growth. Like, I actually think that, I mean, I'm not opposed to learning and growing, but I have no desire to like listen to a podcast from some shaman and whatever. Like, I just like, I don't know. So
Yeah.
I guess
So
that's what it is.
basically, like, it's like a version of self-love versus like, again, it's so true. You're holding diamonds and kernels of truth and babies too for us red pill people. And that is really an invaluable piece of truth and advice. If you're not careful as a red pill person, that inspiration, fire in the heart for something more deep, more true, more authentic, can very quickly turn into a self improvement project that has at its roots the opposite of self love. Like it's a righteously imposed version of um, whatever the opposite of self love is, self hate on oneself. So that's a very good point. It's a very, very good thing. for everyone to be on the lookout for.
Yeah, it feels like from the blue pill perspective that there's you, you know coming across a situation like this, the results are either going to be confusion to begin with and probably resentment afterwards. So like how do we um how do you work past that in order to say, well, that was confusing. I don't get why this is happening. And now like I'm kind of pissed because it is happening. And then like how do you get to the other side?
Yeah, that's another one of those huge, vitally important questions. Because as any blue pill person will tell you, when you have a partner, and again, your lives are this interwoven, and your partner all of a sudden comes home and it's like a different person all of a sudden, you know?
Yeah.
So I really appreciate what you said. The first response is usually, what did you say? Resistance, I
Confusion.
think. Confusion, confusion. Yeah, exactly. Confusion, just almost shock, right?
Yeah.
And then the second one, resentment. Like, what the fuck? Why did you change? It was great how it was. So confusion, then resentment. Now, there's probably a bunch more feelings and things that go into that recipe of what happens, but those are two big ones, and I'm really glad you're pointing them out.
Mm.
That confusion and resentment. So whether you're in the confusion state or the resentment state, and this is the hard truth for a blue pill person to receive. But the answer is that it's not it seems so much like your partner doing this to you. And that's usually what gets confronted. Like, why? Come back. Where'd you go? Why are you kind of like leaving what we had? Why are you abandoning the plan? Why are you dropping what we've had all this time? It's very, very painful.
Yeah, there's
So the
like an aspect of like betrayal in there, it feels like.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And then it's like a nerve inside your heart and soul. It can't help it get touched. And the initial response, confusion, feeling betrayed, feeling hurt, feeling like, why? Why are you doing that? Then later it turns into flavors of anger and resentment. And yeah, those kinds of flavors, the more bitter ones. But the the key, and this is the hard medicine of it all for the for the blue pill person, is that to do your absolute best to zoom out on life itself. If you can zoom out way, 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 way out and start to see life through a perspective that, yes, is red pill ish, but I think it's the bare minimum homeopathic amount of red pill that every human needs to take in their lifetime and will take. You will be given. Life is going to force feed you this bit of the pill at some point. And you might as well do it when your partner shows up as a red pill instead of when, you know, God forbid, you're, in Maui, your house gets blown away by the storm, or your whole career goes down, or you get injured and you can't function anymore, or you turn 75 years old and you just realize, holy fuck, I'm about to die. And it becomes very real.
Mm.
So life is going to force feed you that bit of the red pill at some point. Now, some people have a very, very strong defense mechanism and they keep it at bay. But if you watch those people long enough, you see that A, they are suffering a lot, and B, they are imposing suffering on the people around them a lot because they're trying to, in the same way the red pill person is trying to force the blue pill person to evolve, if a blue pill person doesn't take at least this homeopathic amount of truth, of the truth pill, the truth bomb, which is called in Buddhism impermanence, which is called in other traditions life on planet Earth. That's the Tobin tradition. If you resist that, then you are becoming like the person you wish wasn't, because you have to impose that on the people around you. Stay in denial, stay in denial, stay how you used to be, stay crystallized the way I want you to be. You see how when I put it out that way, how egoic that is?
Mhm.
It's a trying to, oh, I got life, put it in a, it's like a butterfly, put it in there. That butterfly dies. Anything you try to put in a bubble and keep it the exact same way, it will kill it. So for the blue pill person, at some point, the sooner the better, you start to take at the very least that amount of the recipe, of the red recipe, and you go, fuck, I hate this, but it's life on planet Earth. Things change, people change. What once was disappears and becomes something else. And that's happening over and over and over through life. It's usually happening in such slow motion, and we kind of like keep rearranging our brain to feel like, oh, okay, I can deal with this, I can deal with that, I can deal with that. So we keep just kind of like catching up with life enough that we just keep this all in place as a blue pill person. And then at some point, something intense, something bigger occurs, and then you either suffer a lot and or you start to allow for life to be life and you get on board with the way of things. And that's, I think, the bare minimum amount of red pill that every human needs to take to have a good life. You just have, that's a healthy life. Anything other than that, you're basically trying to shut yourself in a cave that doesn't allow for life to be life, which includes change, death, challenge, shit going not the way we want it to go.
So I'm wondering if maybe we could, just for a little bit, talk about the dangers of the or the slippery slope, perhaps, of I think what you've already called in the past the podcast princess. So
Mhm.
can we talk a little bit about like that slippery area where all the there's so many resources available, and it's like, well, how
Mhm.
much is that really helping, or is it causing more of conflict?
Great question. Again, I love these questions, Phil. So yeah, we've jokingly coined the term the punishing podcast princess.
Nice, yeah.
So could be Prince, who be very,
Yeah, I
very
guess so. Sure.
here. It could be a prince for sure. I've seen those. Um, so the slippery slope, it's everywhere. And the slippery slope in every case, every single time is I have it. I got it. This is it. Then basically, all of a sudden, now you're becoming a fundamentalist of whatever the religion is or the cult is that you just imbibed, that you just got inspired by. Now, this is a very, very, very slippery slope because when you just say took ayahuasca for the first time and you literally saw God and you literally felt like you healed every wound in your psyche and you are walking around in a glow of loving joy for a week or however long it lasts, usually not that long, but sometimes in a good journey, you get a week.
Okay, cool.
You can't like, I know, I know, I know, I know, I know. And that's the slippery slope. That belief, I know, KNOW, is the bathwater with your baby. So we just have to be so mindful, so devoted, so sincere to discriminate between an experience, an inspiration, even something that deep in your guts you feel and know to be true for yourself. Like a lot of times, like for myself included, things that I now nibble on every day and read, that freaking sign and all those books back there. I in my guts feel like this is the key to my life, and could be the key for many, many other humans. And I want to share it. So the slippery slope between that and the part of my little gremlin in my brain,
Hmm.
is like the other Tobin, the
Yeah, the
the
little one on the
me.
shoulder, like the
It,
yeah.
yeah, it's the one who knows and gets it and wants to just impose that. That me is tight. That me is very binary. It's very right, wrong. So you start to, and you need to, if you're on this path, you need to be kind of like a bloodhound, being very vigilant for that version of yourself that is taking over and wrapping itself around even the most true, true, true thing in your existence. And the hallmarks of that little gremlin are tightness, rightness, uh, higher, lower, division, right, wrong, and a sense of like fundamental knowingness, like impenetrable knowingness. That's when you know your gremlins around. Impenetrable knowingness. I like that phrase because it's different than like I really, really feel it to be true for me. I really, really deeply feel it could serve others. I might even kind of know that in my heart, but there's that kind of knowing is still permeable. It's still flexible. It'll drive my life, but if some other feedback came, then that could shift and morph and change. That's healthy knowing. That gets you in the game. That gets you on the path. But as you do that, the key, and you learn this, usually this comes way later, like after a decade or more of being in red pill land. Oh, even that thing I thought for sure, been a little humbled. I've learned there's other truths. I've learned there's other perspectives. I've learned that I was just downright wrong half the time. Okay, now humility starts to dawn, and that's key. And so where I think our this whole discussion is trying to help everybody to just have more skillfulness as we dance through life, whether we're blue or red pill or half and half or whatever it is.
Yeah. Hmm.
But that's what I would suggest is watching out for that slippery slope of rightness and knowingness, because that is your ego. It's people don't want to admit that, but it is every single time. If it comes with that, you can tell because it's like there's a division there. There's a sense of me and you. So right there, you need to go munch on some more red pills.
Like jelly beans.
Get all, go all the way, get all the way.
Yeah.
So this is another thing I want to talk about a bit about the slippery slopes. And this happens for everyone I know. This is almost like part and parcel of the path. Take the red pill, tons of inspiration, you think you just got it. You think, oh God, within some amount of time, it's all going to be great because I learned the thing. You know,
Yeah.
I learned that thing from that teacher. I got that ayahuasca epiphany. Within a certain amount of time, I'll be there and I can check this off the list. And God, I'm so grateful for the red pill. But anybody who actually is on the path of the red pill within a certain amount of time, they're like, fuck, why did I take the red pill? Can I go back to blue pill? This is fucking hard. And the pitfalls and the cul-de-sacs and the weirdness and the other humans you have to tolerate, or it's crazy. It's a crazy land. So what I really want to say to the red pill people and the blue pill people who are contemplating getting on a path like this is that luckily the good news is through all that quagmire, when you're lucky and you are sincere and you've come across really, really, really skillful teachings and you apply them with the sincerity of your heart and soul in the driver's seat, the fruits of red pill living are truly, in my experience, unmatchable. There's no comparison in blue land, and they are so, 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 so much more fulfilling to the human being, that it does become worth it. And yet the in between can get very, very miserable, dark, scary, weird, messy. But I do want to say this is the lucky thing that I have discovered, is that the fruits of this path, when engaged with real luck, a lot of this is you just have to be very, very blessed. A lot of it is very sincere, a lot of sincerity and a lot of skill. Then the lucky good news is that the fruition of that is a being who is filled with types of satisfaction, types of fulfillment, types of peace, types of generosity, types of love, types of awe, wonder, gratitude. Like, and these aren't just catchphrases and words I hear myself saying, and I'm like, no, it's going to be another meme, more memes. But I do want to impart this like reality that I bathe in more and more time, which is like a kind of saturated sweetness and goodness that I bask in, but also seems to kind of overflow into the world around from the way that my being sort of exists. And I don't say that to be cocky. I do want there to be the good news because it's not all wars and Chinese finger handcuffs and
Yeah.
bathwater and crazy shit. There is some really, really, really exquisite fruit of this, but we do need the right sincerity, the right teachings, and the right amount of grace, I guess,
Hmm.
to that.
That's good. Well, we've been at it for a minute now, but I wanted to, before we call, I mean, I'm sure that the red pill, blue pill conversation goes deep, right? So this is,
It does.
we
Yeah, it's
scratched
fun.
the
It's very
surface a
fun.
little bit, but I was wondering before we call it for the day, I was wondering if you had any thoughts about, like, I'm sure that in your, works that you see lots of couples and they've reached this sort of point where, one of the partners is going on the red pill journey and that sort of thing, and you see this divide. But what would you say for anybody that might be like seeing the signs of the red pill journey beginning? Like if you were to catch it early on, what would you say?
Mhm.
Well, this is how you can navigate.
In your partner, you mean? Like
Yeah,
if your
or even
partner
the
starts.
relationship. So you're noticing it earlier on, as opposed to like, oh well, we've dealt with this maybe not so gracefully for a long time, and now we're trying to deal with it. But if you kind of like see the signs of it happening, like how could you more gracefully approach that situation?
Yeah, beautiful question. So this boils down, or this points in the direction of the stuff I'm teaching couples all the time. And this is where deep, skillful communication comes in. This is where the capacity to switch channels comes in. And again, this is for blue pill people, any human, these skills, the art of healthy, awesome relationship and communication, we need those.
Hmm.
And so I would say to anyone, you feel it coming, default to skill, skillful means, skillful ways of talking. So, like, if we could rewind for people back to that stage, or if you find yourself in that stage, or if this hits you sometime in your life, the keys then are to stay so grounded in a loving way of being and communicate and stay on the same team with your partner, even if you realize you're totally different. It's okay to be different. It's okay to think you were the same and then have it be that we're different later. That's the hard one, but it's still okay. So that we just bumped into that. How can we lovingly talk about that, be on the same team about that, even if the net result of that for some people, if they do bump into this early on, they might be like, wow, this is too big of a division. You got to go on your path. I love you and I release you, not I shame you and I say you suck for not being more like me. So that's going to really depend. But the key of keys, and if you get it earlier, you're lucky because then you can more easily apply these tools, which boil down to being on the same team, a kind of humble willingness to let life do what it wants to do. So I'm more interested in discovering the truth of what's trying to happen than control what's trying to happen. That attitude is so key. And then being committed to allyship no matter what. Like I'm your ally. I love you no matter what, but let's put that in front of us. That's going to optimize the potential of finding a way together. A lot of people who do that, they do find a way together, even if they have different amounts of inspiration, different amounts. You know, I know people who one person goes to this spiritual group a lot. It's like their main thing, but their partner isn't into it. But they found a bridge. They found a way to celebrate who and how each of them are. And so I think that would be the key, if at all possible. And that's the key every step of the way, even further along. But we just often, if you haven't caught it in the beginning, you get that vicious circle, and it builds up that tank of resentment, that tank of pain, that tank of fear, all those tanks. So if we catch it later, we have to clear out the tanks and then engage in those loving, skillful ways to find out where the sweet spot is with those two people.
Got it.
Yeah, easier said than done, but that's the recipe if there is.
Yeah. Well, some of the stuff that you just brought up there, I think would be good for another meeting if we get to do something like this again. Is like, what do we do with those tanks, and how do we figure that out, and how do we, yeah,
Great segue. I love that. Let's bookmark that. I would love to dive into that with you, Phil. This is fun because it is such a fun way to look at it. And at the same time, this could help so many people. You know, can you imagine if like 15 years ago you heard this? Like it'd be a different life for me too. If I had heard this early in my path, it would have saved me a lot of challenges. So the idea here is to help us all. And I love that idea of bookmarking the tanks conversation. And, you know, there's so many other pieces to this that we could play with and talk about.
very cool.
You know,
Whew.
fun, fun and hard,
Fun
fun
and
and hard.
hard.
Just
Yes, that's right. That's the name of the game.
just
Fun and
like the
hard.
life. Yeah. Yeah, but this is an honor, Phil. I'm really grateful to be doing this with you, and I appreciate you being the way you are. If you're okay with me saying something about you personally,
Yeah, go
I
for it.
have that right now, which is that you are the most committed, non-committed dude I've ever met.
Most
I
committed,
love
non-committed.
committed to not eating a red pill, but you keep doing red pill shit over and over and over and over. A box, like a freaking rock star, like a superhero of life and your relationship. I see you, even though some part of you just is like, why the fuck should I have to do this? Why is this occurring? Why do people go that way? What is happening? My life was this, it was so great, and then this. What the hell? So you have that very, very, very strong. And yet you also have this part of you that's like, okay, well, let me talk to Tobin more. Let me draw it out more. Let me show up at that group and see if there's some magic that could serve this, journey. And you just are so committed in both directions that I think it's an amazing thing because and in fact, I'm just having this insight right now.
Yeah.
Even intrapsychically, even within you as one person, this is going on. There's a red pill part of you and a blue pill part. And if we could apply some of what we've talked about, just even internally, so this part gets to be honored. This blue pill guy has a lot of wisdom. He's saying, look, let's not be in cults. Let's not be idiotic. Let's not throw out the awesomeness of our life for some potential that we could get to someday. Let's keep caring for the people around us and not inflict something we're inspired about on them in some harsh way. That guy's awesome. Blue Pill Phil rocks. He's
Yeah.
my teacher. He's my teacher. it holds so much brilliance and wisdom. I mean, really, it touches me. And then the red pill guy is like, uh, this is my interpretation. If I was channeling for this part of you, I might be wrong, but I think he's like, fucking life on planet Earth does this. We got to get on with the program a little bit. Otherwise, we're really going to suffer trying to make it go back to how it used to be. So that guy's like, well, what could we learn? How could we do this in a way that honors both sides, that is grounded, that is wise, that is healthy, that is caring, that lets us go to a concert and just have yummy sex like we used to, like all that good stuff. Like, and I'm not being facetious at all. I'm like, yeah, that, don't forget that, people. Don't forget the simple things, red pill people. So anyway, I feel like there's a bridge right there in the very being that you are. You are the teacher.
Nice.
For
Well,
me. So thank you.
I appreciate
Awesome.
those words. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess we've got our bookmark. Maybe we'll do something else some other time, man.
Let's do it. Yeah. Perfect. We'll come in
Cool.
for a landing now. And,
Yeah.
we'll unpack more in a future episode, a future deep dive. I love this.
All right. Cool. Well, thanks for your time, Tobin. Really appreciate all your insights.
You too, Phil. Thanks so much. And thanks for anyone who's listened this much. I hope this is helping. And I hope if you have any questions or feedback for us, just bring it. We want to, this is a, this is a learning as we go kind of thing. So I invite, anyone out there to bring in your questions and your all of it, your feelings.